Minister of Finance and Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, says Nigeria spends 18.39 billion naira daily on petrol subsidy. The minister made a disclosure during an inquiry by the House of Representatives Committee investigating petroleum products for subsidy regime from 2013 to 2022, explains that the government has projected an average daily truck out of 64.96 million liters per day for 2023, which is about 65 million per day, using an average rate at open market rate of 448 naira 20 kobo, and then a regulator pump price of 165 naira per liter. But truly, it's not even being sold at 165 at the moment in most filling stations. Well, in the first half of 2022, petrol subsidy claims amounted to 2.6 trillion naira, a figure above crude oil sales receipts from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Despite this humongous amount spent on subsidy payment, the country is still faced with an intractable energy crisis, which is having ripple effects on the prices of diesel, aviation fuel, kerosene, and lubricants, affecting the outlook of the operating environment. Well, let's get talking. And this is live from our Abuja studios. To discuss this and more is a partner and senior economist at SPM Professionals, Mr. Paul Alaji. It's good to see you, Mr. Alaji. How are you today?
Thank you so very much for having me. Good afternoon.
Like I said in my introduction, on the other side, non-oil exports seems to be looking good. But on the other side, we are using all of these funds to fund subsidy payments. First, what is your reaction to this statement by the Minister of Finance before we go deep into this topic of discourse?
Yeah, well, if I get your question clearly, you would like to know what my reaction will be regarding the statements that we are spending.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, go ahead. Yes, you got it right.
Okay, so we're spending more money on subsidy than we should have because there's global economic crisis. Prices are going up. In UK, railway staff had they declare strike action. Sometimes they don't go to work, sometimes they go to work because of the impact of shortage of gas around the world. The prices of gas are since increased, and countries that refuse to be prepared for the future, we find ourselves to blame. Nigeria, in this case, has crude and is selling crude, is selling raw material instead of processing it. We have capacity. As we speak today, our challenges is not subsidy. Our challenges is our inability to use our brain, to make use of our mind, and the willingness on the part of authority to ensure that commodities we have in abundance is made available for our citizens at the price that is just. The price we are selling PMS today, we know is not realistic. The challenge is many Nigerians believe that if they start paying the right prices, government will never want to make refineries work. And if you ask me, the issue of refinery is similar to those of university. Areas where government lacks capacity, you could see several governments, successive governments, have been faced with these two challenges. Number one, issue of subsidy. We saw during several military regimes how Nigerians have gone to protest over increase in prices. We have also seen in many administrations how lecturers have gone on strike simply because of not giving them quality of life or not being able to manage what they should manage. The question is, do we think that the Nigerian government have really observed the situation and have come up with a fact, a way of solving this problem? My answer will be no. If not, President Jonathan would not have faced the same challenges. President Obasanjo had issues of subsidy with Nigerians, as well as issue of payment of salaries and a few other things with workers, and especially those of university. So we also saw the same thing, apart from President Yaradua that seems to be exempted. We saw the same with President Jonathan, and now, more than ever before, we are seeing the same issue happening now to President Buhari. The question is, why is it difficult for leaders to learn from previous leaders or from the mistakes of others? Perhaps because of politics. But you see, economics will not lie. It will tell you the way it is. We will even spend more as long as Putin refuses to change his mind or Russia invasion in Ukraine is not ending. If you don't see an end to this crisis happening, in eastern part of Europe, Nigeria, among other countries, and indeed Europe and several other parts of the world, we continue to suffer. And by the way, this is not just us suffering, but a lot of people, and I've seen authorities saying, don't worry, these pains, this suffering you're experiencing is not just you, it's ubiquitous. The question is, could we have avoided the pains? My answer is yes. 3 refineries, dysfunctional, that spent billions and billions of naira and running to trillions in Niger Delta alone. And one in Kaduna, what is fast becoming moribund and a shadow of itself. Should we not have partnered with private sector, those whose interest is to make profit, and they know without the refinery functioning, there is just no way they can make such profit. And I'm saying that government might not have even sold all our interests completely, but partially. What is important today is if countries selling processed oil to us today, if all the countries says no, then ours may be worse than Sri Lanka.
Let me stay one bit, just one more question with around this oil and gas space, which is the refinery which you touched on. We are currently having a rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt refinery, which is going to cost the country about 1.5 billion US dollars. I think it's billion dollars, 1.5
billion US dollars.
Yes, which that's going to cost us. And we hear this is a rehabilitation, not the regular turnaround maintenance that we used to have before now. Do you think something different would happen this time?
Well, I'm always very hopeful about my country, Nigeria. I don't have any other country. I have just Nigeria. So anything that concerns Nigeria, I am very hopeful. But my hope is not against hope. My hope is not blind. My hope is also, I liken it to when we cry, we still see. We have seen several actions of government, these and previous, how they've spent monies, and we have even reviewed the approval from National Assembly regarding rehabilitation of several refineries, and this one inclusive. But what have we seen at the end of the day? It is commonly said that don't worry, at the end of the tunnel there will be light. That is if if the day breaks. But if you are still in the middle of the night and you're out of the tunnel, you might not know. So we need to blow away darkness from Nigeria economy. We need those who can help us with economic development. And this is very important. So I think spending this money, I am hopeful it will work. But with what is on ground, I doubt when this will happen. And if you ask why I have my doubt, the question is, if you use 20 years to rehearse madness, when are you going to practice it?
Let's now talk about the number of liters we consume on a daily basis. That has also been a subject of discussion across the board. Everyone keeps saying that, really, do we consume up to 60 million liters every day? And we see what's happening on the other side, customs and all of that. Getting hold of those trying to smuggle petroleum products outside the country. This is happening almost on a daily basis. What is your reaction to our consumption rate, and what can be done to address this ugly trend so that we pay subsidy on what we truly consume?
Well, first, I want to ask, who is a Nigerian? How do you define a Nigerian? I carried out a survey, myself and a few other economists around Nigeria. We wanted to know what determines a Nigeria beyond the green passports. Not all of us carry green passports because of affordability and availability. I've seen a number of persons who carry one hand the passport of Nigeria, the other hand they have another card from Cameroon. So the way we are unable to account to ourselves, what is our number? The estimates, go to the IMF website, you see between about 216 million. The National Population Commission, it puts out about 206 million. It depends also on the year you are looking at. So today, how many cars do we have in Nigeria? What is the rate of consumption in Nigeria? Are we able to control our trucks? Is there a central way of controlling what is given at the depot to those who are selling PMS, who are selling whatever product we want to call it? There is no centralized way of data. You see, Data is life, data is now, and data is the future. If we say we will not put data and digitize processes in Nigeria, even though the rest of the world is gradually leaving us behind, and they are running even faster than the lady that Nigerian that took first, in several competitions we have seen recently. The world, the pace at which Nigeria is living, the world is leaving us in terms of economy and digitization of processes is faster than what the lady has done, even though she has broken the world record not once, not twice in recent time. Our country must realize, and those that are in authority and those that are interested in getting to office in Nigeria must realize that the world has since changed and it has since moved on. We are no longer in the 80s or 90s. This is 21st century, and there are things that you can attribute to what is happening today. I don't know if the data, you see, if you drive a vehicle in Abuja and you go to another part of the country, say Southeast, don't be surprised that your data in Abuja may not be seen in that place. And we say we're a country. We need to do a centralized way of knowing the number of vehicles we have, how much is consumed in terms of PMS and other products in Nigeria a day. That is when we can now talk about even paying subsidy. What is the transparency? Most of the time you see estimates. You see, economists don't believe in estimate that averagely we spend about 400 million liters or we spend 500 million liters. And we hear that we have averagely about 11 billion liters, even though I'm not sure, but that's the last figure I heard of in terms of vehicle. So when you have that number, divide it. Does it mean that our vehicle full tanks run down twice a day? There are questions that we must ask honestly around the consumption before you talk about what is paid as subsidy. But you see, in any place, not just a country, even in business, where transparency is not present, you are going to see highest level of corruption. And for me, I've seen government effort in fighting corruption, and I say kudos to them. But more importantly, what seems to be missing is transparency and digitization of processes. Not until we're able to do this, we might still be losing money to the pockets of those that are really fat, not just around their belly, but also their personal accounts.
But finally, government is saying that by June 2023, subsidy will be out. How possible is that?
Well, I've had that conversation with you more than 5 times on this, your show, government to remove subsidy. 5 different times. This is the 6th time we'll be talking about government subsidy removal. And there's something I'll always tell you, that I have not seen any government in Nigeria that have tried to move the price of PMS to 80 cents. I have not seen one. Anyone who is willing to dare it, we will wait and see. Because when you look at what people are earning, what is $80? When you put that against minimum wage, people ask, and I've heard that in Saudi Arabia they produce oil as much as we do. Why should they be selling almost double or triple of what we are buying in Nigeria? I say, hold on a minute. Economy is about trade-off. You cannot have your cake and eat it, or eat your cake and have it, whichever, whether the old school English or modern English, whichever you want to adopt. But here is it. What is the minimum wage in Saudi Arabia? What is the average income in Saudi Arabia? If you compare the population, Saudi Arabia and Nigeria perhaps are 2 countries with highest population growth rate. But when you look at income in Saudi Arabia and compare that with Nigeria, the population stock in that country and that of Nigeria, they are far way ahead. If you look at the number of people that are poor in Nigeria, IMF put it at 42% of our population. UNDP in 2018 said over 90 million people live under multidimensional poverty. They are on farms. We most of the time assume. We call them the rural poor, even though we have a lot of urban poor too. How will they move their produce just to make a living when the prices continue to surge? So if you ask me again, I would say that we need to look at the issues again and again. Government says it wants to remove subsidy. Well, I have my doubts on absolute removal. But that does not mean we should continue to blindfold ourselves and say we want to cross the highway, especially if it is in Lagos or Abuja, where vehicles run not less than 100 kilometers per hour. Then somebody wants some people to kill cow as traditional African. So what do I think we should do? I think there should be partial or a gradual removal of subsidy. Government will come with policy, calling all stakeholders from those in NLC, TUC, and also call those who are producing, call everybody that is concerned, different bodies, and let people know what the reality is. President Buhari had mentioned to us that the biggest challenge the government has is not just about debt. The real issue is revenue. So how do we generate revenue if you see sincere effort on the part of government for revenue generation on one hand, and also deliberate effort of government to reduce interest that government has in some public institutions, particularly as it has to do with subsidy, and also universities, that it is obvious that governments don't have so much in terms of making that to work. People are spent 4 to 5 months at home, and government wants to carry burden that it is obvious that even if you resolve it ASU today, or you resolve it NASU, NAT, and so on today, in the next 1 year, the government not relate on promises, with the exchange rate not have been poorer, a professor learning less than $1,000. Where is that done? Anywhere in the world. I think Nigeria is among the few countries where you see a professor any less than that. So what should we do? You make those who have the interest, who wants to run proper institution, while government will not neglect the poor by leaving 30 or 40% of people who are truly poor purely on that scholarship. At that time, you will see an end to incessant strike. If you also adopt the same policy as it has to do with a refinery, you will also see an end to queues without people complaining or having issues. But the question is, who has the will to save Nigeria from economic quagmire? We wait, and we hope among the 3, and if you like, 4 major candidates running, we're going to see one that has the mind to save Nigeria from economic quagmire.
Indeed. Before I let you go, I wanted us to touch on the aviation issue. That's, of course, the rising aviation fuel, jet A fuel. I'm sure you're always on air most times when you fly in from Abuja to Lagos and everywhere you go. What's been happening? And tell me, how has that hit into your finances one way or the other? Because a return ticket now from Lagos to Abuja, here is far above 100,000 naira. Tell me what this is. Yes, global issues are not far from all of this, but where do we go from here, and what does this mean for Nigeria?
Well, a lot, especially for entrepreneurs and also organizations that is going concern. And if it's affecting entrepreneurs, then you can be rest assured that very soon it will also affect government. And it will also affect the generality of people, because we are talking about those who are providing jobs for the population. So you continue to see increase. You also see tickets. You hardly see anything less than 75,000 naira tickets on an hard journey. In some cases, you might see, and I'm talking of economy, and you might even see as high as 150, 200 return tickets going to a minimum of 150 to 300,000 per time. The issue is, do we really earn up to that in income, or do we really earn up to that in salary? That is why we have seen incessant delay. Airlines operators have also devised their own ways. If they have 7 a.m., 9 a.m., they find a way to combine the 2 flights so that they will not have half of the space occupied. Why is this very important? Because when you look at it, economics is not just about supply, it's also about demand. People must afford it. And in the long run, you see, we're going to waste time and a number of other things that will be wasted. And if you say, oh, let people pay, the question is, where will the money come from? Operator in the aviation sector also need money for them to run. That is when our planes will not fall from the sky, because if there is no gas, Jet A1, how will they fly? We've not even spoken about maintenance. But something that seems to be underlining that many of us seems to have forgotten about is exchange rate and availability of FX for those in that sector, and indeed every other sector to have access to. As we speak today, one of the things that is getting scarce and scarce every moment is FX. Why is FX disappearing? A lot of people are very quick to accuse central bank as though a central bank prints foreign currency. Of course, it's not possible. We need other parts of economy, talking about and more importantly, the other sector of economic leg, that's talking about fiscal authority and trade authority, to come and align with central bank. And people ask each time I mention non-alignment in policy, especially for trade. We need to deliberately, and I like how you started the show today, regarding exports. We need to deliberately support export, whether it is called crude or non-crude sector, whatever we want to call it. This is a major window of us earning. Again, I also think federal government need to have a review of approach of NNPC. NNPC giving direct subsidy I don't think it is sufficient. I think we need to readjust that, because if you don't do that, you are going to put pressure on debt management office, because you have to look for the money. Anytime we borrow money, one of the good things that is in debt is that if it's foreign debt, by the way, it's going to come in hard currency to reduce the pressure that we have on our foreign reserve. But more importantly, NNPC and federal government may need to review this approach of paying directly without such money first getting to our foreign reserve, for central bank to have that cushion, as we are seeing a lot of pressure around the country today, especially within our financial sector.
It's a good way to leave it. Interesting conversation, Mr. Paul Alaje. It's always a pleasure talking to you. He's a partner, senior economist, SPM Professionals. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.